Yo, welcome back to the Fitness Business Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to eliminate or destroy overwhelm, ADHD tendencies with a daily planning system that I've developed, that I've used for a couple years now. And it took me forever to try to come up with a system that actually organized my brain and allowed me to know what I should be doing each day, know what my goals are, and to avoid the task hopping and the feeling of like, I don't know how much I should be doing, or like, am I doing enough? And ultimately to eliminate that feeling that when you get to the end of the day, you're not sure if you actually did what you were supposed to do. And I'm sharing this because, well, I've shared this before on this podcast. So you maybe have heard me talk about this, but I've refined the system a little bit more since the last time I have. And I'm also sharing it because I've noticed this come up a ton lately. I'm getting a lot of questions about it. And anytime I talk about it, so many people end up hearing it and then reaching out and say, hey, can you share this with me? I've had several friends even be like, hey, can you share this system with me? And so it seems like it's a problem, which makes sense. So anyways, let's jump in. And for those maybe just listening, you should be able to visualize what I'm going to talk about here, but we're also going to have this on YouTube. So if you look up my YouTube channel, Jordan Duggar, it should be posted on there within a few days. And so that way you can actually see the visuals along with what I'm talking about. All right. So there are 4 steps. Step 1, you first want to establish your daily structure. What I mean is, from what time periods are you going to be working on what? So as an example, what I do is from 5 a.m. Sometimes I get started at 6:30, kind of depends on how I sleep or whatever. I'll talk about that in a second. But let's say hypothetically, it's 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. That is dedicated to creation. Then from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., I call that time coordination. From 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. or whenever I go to bed, that's connection. So the early hours are your creation time. If you're a man especially, I mean, this applies to females too, but how females have cycles throughout the month, right? They have their luteal phase, their ovulation phase, their menstruating phase, all that. And their energy levels change a lot throughout those phases. Well, men have phases as well, but our phases are within a 24-hour period. And the hormone that mainly dictates that fluctuation, whereas for women, a lot of it's like progesterone and estrogen and things that dictate their neurochemistry. For men, it's testosterone. So our testosterone peaks in the morning and it starts to kind of fizzle out around like noon, 1 o'clock, depending on what time you get up. And then it really plummets around that time. And then it surges a little bit more at night. That's the reason you usually have morning wood when you wake up, which hopefully you do, because that's actually a good indicator of your health. But anyways, so my time in the morning is where I'm trying to really be intentional with like creation, big projects, deep work time, moving the business forward. That could be your content creation. It's like whatever is most important for your business. That might even be like booking calls for you or learning and building new processes, or just literally creating product or whatever. Then 11 a.m. to 4, I look at that as coordination. So that might be for you client check-ins, responding to client messages. For me, a lot of it is coordinating and talking to my team. That's when meetings get scheduled, etc. And then from 4 to 9, I try to always have a hard cutoff at 4 as much as I can. And then 4 to 9, that's time with my son, husband, time with my wife as well. So it's husband and Jordan time. And then maybe we have plans with friends or whatever, but I'm connecting at that point. I'm not working as much as possible. So that's step 1. Step 2 is what I do is I have a template for my daily priorities. Okay. So what I mean is I keep this in a note, just an iPhone note. And essentially I have at the very top of the note, my daily structure to remind myself. Right below that, I have this template that I copy and paste and use this template when I'm planning each week. So it goes like this. Number 1, top goals on the week. Number 2, stupid ideas. And if you're envisioning this, just think about capitalized letters, literally just line by line. Okay. So you have top goals on the week. You have stupid ideas. You have small tasks. Then I have Monday through Friday mapped out. I don't work on weekends. I used to. I've put in a lot of weekend days, but now that time is for family. And for me, if that means the business doesn't grow as much because I get to be a dad, well, that's perfectly fine for me. But you might have different priorities. So anyways, how the week is broken down is like this. Monday, that's categorized as my weekly planning, reviewing projections, team meetings, and any outside meetings. Tuesday, that's creation day and client support. Okay. Creating in the morning. And then I usually have like client calls in the afternoon. Wednesday is strategy, vision, and creation. No meetings on Wednesdays typically, except usually like one with a mentor. Thursdays are creation day and client support. Fridays are also creation day, one-on-ones with direct reports. So if we keep moving on, what you want to do now, okay, so we have the framework, but we need to know what to plug into the framework. Actually, before I move on, let me just kind of explain the top goals, stupid ideas, and small tasks. So top goals, those have to be major things that you want to accomplish that week. What are the most important 3 to 4 things that if you just got these things done, you would be moving closer to your goals? I'm going to explain how to goal set next. But whenever you're looking at your top goals, you need to reference back to your top goals for your quarter and your year to say, do those top goals align with what I established as my great big picture goal? So to talk about that, so I'll actually talk about how to establish your yearly and then quarterly goals here next. But next, I have stupid ideas. We need to brain dump. We need a place to just throw our ideas because it's so common, especially for entrepreneurs, especially if you're like me and you have ADHD. Throughout the day, you might have 20 to 50 new ideas, or somebody throws something at you, or you see somebody else doing something. You're like, wow, that looks interesting. I should do that. Or you think of like a post you want to go make and interrupt what it was you're currently working on. Easiest way to solve for that is to just dump those ideas into your note, right? So just if you think of it, let the idea run, don't do it, but whatever ideas you have, put them into a bullet, put details around it, and just throw it under your stupid ideas. And then you're going to come back to those stupid stupid ideas every week to figure out, okay, does that need to get moved into the next week? Does it need to just stay here for a while? Or was that just a shitty idea in general and I was just looking for a distraction? You'd be shocked at how often that's the case, right? Do not just stop what you're doing and go work on something new. Don't jump away or jump over. Because so many times this thing that you're like, oh, I got this great idea, I'm going to go work on it now. If you just sit on it for a minute, you'll either A, realize, well, that doesn't actually align with what my priorities are this quarter, or B, this is actually going to be a lot harder to execute than I originally planned, or C, it was just a terrible idea in general. I was just looking for a distraction. I was procrastinating. Small tasks. Those are things like schedule a dentist appointment, right? Or order this thing for my kid, or, reminder, order Aaron flowers because I was a dick yesterday, whatever, right? Like little small reminders, personal stuff usually. Or it could even just be little things like send this client this, whatever. And then again, you have your Monday through Friday that are categorized. Moving on to step 3. So step 3 is establishing your goals and then your quarterly projects to help push you towards those goals. So for me, the way that I do this is I think, what are my 12-month goals? Those are established at the beginning of the year. Then every quarter, I revisit them to figure out if I'm on track or if they need to be adjusted. And then you have quarterly projects. So we have what I call vital few objectives. Those are the most important things we want to accomplish this year. And then I have my quarterly, what we call critical projects. So for me, vital few objectives for 2024 was to hit 10 to 12 million in revenue in the company with 40% net operating margin. I wanted a 30% back-end conversion in our back-end, 45% overall, solidify our leadership team, reach 35,000 downloads a month on the podcast, launch new products. I have a few product launches, and then speed to value goals for our students, like a metric for client success. So those are like my bullets, right? And then my Q3 critical projects are launch new front-end mid-ticket product that we've been working on. Again, aligns to one of those vital few objectives. Repackage new VSL offer and get into my CPA budget. That aligns with hitting revenue. Repackage lead magnet to a school group. That aligns with revenue as well. Expand paid marketing channels. That's revenue. Hire copywriter and media buyer. That's revenue. So I'm chief revenue officer in the business, right? That's my main thing. So a lot of my goals have to do with that. And then I also have a couple other things, working on some AI infrastructure things for students, whatever, not important. So anyways, again, so when you sit down and plan your week, you're looking at those vital few objectives, you're looking at those quarterly projects and making sure, especially your top goals on the week, include your quarterly projects, right? Because those are the most important things you're trying to check off. And that might just mean, okay, I need to progress this much with this project, or just tackle this piece. It might not mean complete it in a week or a day, right? So anyways, step 4 and the final step is to have a daily and weekly process to where you plan. So here's how that works. Again, morning time is my deep work time. Protect that with as much urgency as you can. You need that deep work time. Then at the end of the day, I give myself a W or an L, meaning whatever I put as my power list under each day. Okay. So when you think about your days broken down, I have my days power list listed, my 5-6 things I need to accomplish. And then if I do at least, I think I have like a 75% goal. If I at least tackle 75%, that day's a W. If I'm under, it's a loss. So I give myself a W or an L at the end of the day. And then I brain dump, make sure I dump all my stupid ideas. Then I move things around as needed. So if I didn't get X thing finished today on a Tuesday, it's going to move into the next day that is under a category, right? So if it's creation, it's going on my next creation. And I kind of recalibrate. I think, did I put too much on my plate? I'm auditing, engaging to make sure I'm setting realistic daily goals for myself. And then I shut shit down. I have a routine where I shut everything down in my office, turn my laptop off, sign off, shut my office down so I'm not tempted to come back in it. Then finally, at the end of the week, I plan for the next. So I'm looking at everything I did that week, my W's, my L's, what didn't get complete. And then I'm setting my next week up. This occurs at the end of day on Friday. Okay. So this is how I'm going to finish today. It's a Friday. And then I mostly have my day mapped out or my week mapped out. So I have at the end of Friday, my top goals for next week, my stupid ideas, small tasks I need to accomplish. And then Monday through Friday, I have at least 3 or 4 things on each of those days that have to get accomplished. And then what I do finally is I revisit that Monday, see if anything's changed. I spend 30 minutes at least Monday morning looking at it. And then at the beginning of each day, I revisit it again, right? To see if it needs to be adapted or changed based on what happened yesterday. So that's the system. And hopefully this all makes sense for those watching on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to see some visuals, but it's worked pretty well for me. And I just use an iPhone note and then I literally just keep track of everything, And yeah, I hope you found this useful. And I hope this allows you to minimize overwhelm, get more shit done throughout the course of a year. And ultimately, what I really hope it does for you is if you're a parent, which is something I'm really passionate about right now, it allows you to be more present with your family at the end of the day, because just kids are so important. Family's so important. So if you can have a system where you feel accomplished at the end of the day and you don't feel like you have a bunch of open loops, then that's going to be huge for how you show up in your family. So anyways, that's it, guys. I'll see you on the next one.